What's on, everyone? Welcome back to the Forward on Football channel. Pretty impromptu video this, but I thought with the Champions League draw going out, it's pretty important to have a little look, just give you my thoughts. So I'm just going to go through the draw, the chances of winning, which aren't great, let's be honest, possible fixtures because of this, the history of the match, and then essentially how PSV are setting up, who I think the danger men, what this could mean for the next match. No time like the present. No point of hanging around, so let's just get into it. So, of course, we have drawn the Dutch champions PSV for our round of 16. Liverpool have drawn with PSG, who are in a rich vein of form right now. Aston Villa, pretty favourable draw for them with Club Brugge, and then both Madrid teams finish our side of the draw. So it's a really, really difficult side of the Champions League to be on. It's not the side we wanted, but it's probably the match in isolation that we would have wanted. It's pretty favourable for us. I would say that we would be the favourites for that game, but it hasn't helped us being on this side. Having two other English teams makes it so much more difficult, let alone playing the two Madrid teams, well, one of them if we get through this game. But let's have a look at the chances of winning, because unfortunately that's gone down even more now because of this draw. So prior to the draw, we had a chance of 16.8%, putting us as third favourites, Liverpool of course being the favourites of the competition. We've gone down that 3.2%, so now we're at 13.6%. So if you're a betting person, our odds have gone down. But it's no surprise, really. The biggest surprise, if you're looking at it, is probably that we seem to be, with the bookies and with Opta, we seem to be higher favourites than Real Madrid, who have 11.6%. They've gone up, which is really strange. You think that we've gone down because of the side that we've been drawn. Meanwhile, they've gone up. So really interesting. I'm presuming that these odds pre-draw were based on our results in the kind of the new phase of the Champions League, the league format. We came out very, very well in that, obviously. It's so difficult now, knowing that if we get through PSV, we are going to have either Atleti or Real Madrid. That is a tough ask. I mean, I don't see us doing it, but let's hope that we can. I mean, that's what we all live on, hope as fans, isn't it? But let's not dwell on that too much, because the fact of the matter is, it is going to affect the fixture congestion. It's going to affect how we can rotate the team as well. So looking at our run-in, so for this, what I've done is italics is the Premier League matches, bold is Champions League. I've also done an underline, you'll see on the Liverpool run-in, and that's for the Carabao Cup final. For us, that means we have to play PSV at the 4th or the 5th of March. I didn't know which one it was for our draw yet. So that's between Nottingham Forest and Man United. So we are going to be thin on the ground for that. We are going to have to go out to Eindhoven and get a big win. We need to win convincingly. So, and the second leg of the fixture, which will be at the Emirates, that's between Man United and Chelsea. Hopefully then we can rest some players, maybe just bring on players if needed. I'm thinking the likes of, Saka or Martinelli, if they're back fit at that time, we can then rest them for Chelsea. Meanwhile, looking at Liverpool, if you look at their fixtures, they now have a really interesting kind of double header, and this repeats itself. So they will have Newcastle on the 26th of February, followed by PSG away. Then, after Southampton, which will probably rest players, they will then have to play PSG again, and it's the reverse, because they will have to play Newcastle a week later, well, within about 4 or 5 days, in the Carabao Cup final. That's so difficult. So for the Carabao Cup final, I very much doubt they'll be able to rest anyone prior to that. And it doesn't get any easier. It gets tastier. These fixtures are great because looking at us, we would have to play one of the Madrid teams on the 8th or 9th of April, followed by Everton, and then the return fixture. Meanwhile, on the same dates, if both teams go through, Liverpool would most likely play Aston Villa, but possibly Club Rouge. So they could possibly play Aston Villa, West Ham, then Aston Villa again. This is a side they've just kind of scraped a draw with. It's such a horrible fixture for them. We then have Brentford, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, potential semi-final if we get through one of the Madrid teams. And then that could be both teams facing each other. So potentially we could have Liverpool on the 30th, Bournemouth on the 3rd, then on the 6th or 7th, Liverpool again. Then on the 10th, Liverpool for a 3rd time in that kind of 2-week period, which is mad. What a running that would be. Could you imagine? We would have to play Liverpool on about a 4-day window. We'd have to play them twice. Within 2 weeks, we'd have to play them 3 times. We would then finish the season with Newcastle and Southampton. Hopefully, Southampton's fate has been sealed by that point, because there's nothing worse than playing against a team that is, trying to defy the drop. Meanwhile, Liverpool will have Brighton and Crystal Palace. Champions League final, obviously, will be on Saturday, 31st of May at the Allianz Arena in Munich. Oh, wouldn't it be a joy to be there? Wouldn't that be poetic to kind of possibly play against Munich in a final after beating a Real Madrid and a Liverpool, going on and beating Bayern in Munich? What a narrative, what a story that would be. This is not me saying it's going to happen, but we can hope. We can live in hope, can't we? Let's kind of look at the history of the game then. Looking at the recent history between the two teams, we played 10 times and they've got the better of us a few. We've got the better of them. There's been draws have been something that have kind of been prevalent in this fixture. So we played each other in the 2002-2003 season as a Champions League group stage. We got a 4-0 victory in Eindhoven. So it was Gilberto, Lundberg and Thierry Henry that scored in the game. We then played in the other group game in a Highbury, and then it was a 0-0 draw. 2 years later again, group stages again. So, So we faced each other in the 2004-2005 season, and we had our own goal that secured us a home win before a 1-1 draw in the Netherlands. And that was the game that Loren and Patrick Vieira both were shown red cards. We were also drawn against them in the 2006-2007 season. And ironically, that was in the round of 16. So PSV won the first leg 1-0 at home, I think. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong there. And then we secured a 1-1 draw at the Emirates Stadium. That was the one where Alex scored at both ends, and that eliminated us from the Champions League. So we had, a mixed bag against them. All of those games were in the Champions League, but then we played them in the 22-23 season, and that was in the Europa League group stages. That was the one when we had the Granit Xhaka strike and the 1-0 win at home. But again, we had a 2-0 loss to them in Eindhoven, and Luke de Jong, who will be present in that game that we've got coming up. He netted the winner in that one. So we've beaten PSV 3 times in the group stages of the Champions League. The most recent victory was a 4-0 win at home. So we had Saka, Trossard, Gabriel Jesus, and Martin Odegaard scored in that game. We then drew 1-1 in the Eindhoven fixture, but there was a lot of rotation, and I'm going to quickly show the team for that. So this was the most recent fixture we played against them. Eindhoven, similar to us, like to play in a nominal 4-3-3. But look at our team. So we had a Reece Nelson and then Nketiah up top with a Trossard, who no doubt will be kind of present in the upcoming fixture. El Neni, Jorginho and Havertz was our midfield. Kai Havertz as the left 8, something that we haven't wanted to see. Oh gosh. Cedric Suarez as a right back, Saliba Gabriel, which is a lovely centre back pairing, obviously, and Jakub Kivior. That was kind of the start of him playing at left back in a run of games. We then had Aaron Ramsdale as our goalkeeper. So if you are worried about what our lineup could look like this time round, it's not going to be as bad as that, let's be honest. And Eddie Nketiah got the goal for this one. It was a 1-1 draw, as I said. But looking at the team, there's a particular player here in Tillman who I kind of want to have a look at. But before we do that, let's have a look at how they're doing currently. So this season, so they are the defending champions of the Eredivisie. They are currently second, but that's not what I wanted to look at. Look at the goals for. They have scored 71 goals this season. They are so potent in attack. It's not just one player. They have goals shared right around the team. But looking at Ajax, Ajax are the second highest scorers in the Dutch division. Only 49 goals. PSV are frightening in attack. They really, really are. We have got to be really careful. And I hope people really pay attention to this, because I think some people look at the fixture and think, this could be an easy one. It's not. It is not an easy fixture. In defence, they're not the most defensively sound team, so we can get at them. So right now, goals conceded is 26. So, I mean, it's not horrific, but if you have a little look, they are a joint third, I think, for kind of defence. But it's their attack. It's their attack that is the most kind of important thing to take away from this. Meanwhile, the Champions League run, so didn't start off well. They had a 3-1 defeat against Juventus. However, look at the big teams. The performances against big teams is where this is really, really important. So they lost against Juventus, that first opening fixture, drew against Sporting, drew against Paris Saint-Germain. They then beat Genoa 4-0, beat Shakhtar 3-2. Then further on, they then beat Liverpool 3-2, albeit with a Liverpool red card. Then, although they lost against Juventus in the first qualifier, 2-1, they then played at home against Juventus and beat them 3-1, bringing them through to the round of 16. They are the definition of a giant killer. They're not going to be afraid to play against us, and rightly so. They are the champions of their league. They're going to be a tough outfit for us to beat. They really, really are. And we're going to have to be defensively astute. So we'll see how we get on. It's not going to be easy. Looking at the danger, though, this is what I'm identifying as the biggest danger. So Malik Tillman. If you haven't heard of him, he has been the star of this PSV Champions League run. 3 goals, 2 assists right now in the Champions League. He's an extremely versatile player. Can play on the left wing, has played 1 game in defensive midfield this season, which is unheard of. Imagine Martinelli playing in defensive midfield. But on the most part, he's had 14 appearances in either attacking midfield or centre midfield. Against Juventus, he actually started as the left winger there. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how PSV set up and where they place Tillman. A lot of their good work essentially comes through him. He thrives in advanced areas, creates chances, and poses a constant danger because he will shoot more or less from anywhere. Exceptional ball recovery skills as well. He's robust in the middle of the park. He just disrupts the opposition from playing. So he's a real good two-way player for someone who is, someone who's got such good attacking output. Right now, if we look at his stats, it's obvious that he has impressive goal efficiency. So right now, in Europe's top 5 leagues, he's in the 99th percentile for non-penalty goals. He's also in the 99th percentile for shot creating actions. So this is someone who is comparable to Europe's elite. He really is. Assists, 96th percentile. Successful take-ons, 99th percentile. Progressive passes received. So this is someone who's going to receive the ball in the pockets, 95th percentile. Even his tackling and blocks, 92 and 98. He is an absolutely fantastic player. So it's probably one you haven't heard of, but it's one to keep an eye out. And I've added his shot map because, as I mentioned earlier, he will shoot on sight. If you look where his goals are, so his goals are highlighted in green. So they are some right in front of the goalkeeper in the box, some out on the left from the outside. He's also an adept dead ball specialist. So he's someone that even in that kind of location, if there is a free kick, he's someone that could harm us. He's a great player. He's not the only problem though, because if I go back now, there's a player that played in this last game, and I'm sure you all know who I'm going to talk about, and it's Bakayoko. So Bakayoko, alongside Noah Lang, they are incredible with progressive carries. This is something that we really, really lack at Arsenal. I'll do a little comparison about them. So Bakayoko and Noah Lang. Noah Lang completed 43 progressive carries. Bakayoko completed 56 progressive carries in the Champions League alone this season. So 43 and 56. Meanwhile, for Arsenal, our highest progressive carriers are Martinelli and Saka with 31 and 24 respectively. So when you're looking, essentially what I am saying is Bakayoko is making the same amount of progressive carries as Martinelli and Saka put together. This is something that could really, really disrupt the way that we play. It's something that I'd love to have in our locker a little bit more. Maybe like a Nico Williams. Someone like that would be fantastic. A Lookman. Oh, they're a really interesting team to play against. They will play in a 4-3-3 formation. They will play and on the front foot. They will not be scared of us. They're a great team. They really are. But we can beat them. It's not going to be easy. If we go out in the first leg and we get a win, hopefully then we can win convincingly. Rest some players for the second one. Prepare ourselves for a Real Madrid or an Atleti. But it is possible. It is possible. Thanks for coming in, listening to my thoughts. Let me know what you think. What do you think is going to be the kind of ripple effect from this? How will it affect the season? Is there a possibility of us playing Liverpool 3 times in the final 2 weeks of the season? Is it likely that we can go through and beat a Real Madrid? Let me know. Please like and subscribe. Fall out.